live. You're alive, boss.
All right. Hey there, everybody. Woo, good to be here. A little cool afternoon, rain, drizzling.
Cold.
Cold.
Very cold.
Cold. We've been in the office all afternoon doing some customer service stuff, checking everything out, getting ready for tonight. It's good to be here. Heck yeah. Got us some tea. Now, I know you think we're dead Southerners, but we got some hot tea. We're drinking hot tea. Hey, Deep South. Y'all know all about this hot tea, don't you? We like hot tea at night time. I put just a little bit of honey in there.
Yeah.
I guess you folks, Deep South, y'all down there, y'all plant potatoes pretty soon. Within the next week or so. I'm on my way about the 20th to plant mine. But I guess you guys down in the Deep South will be planting yours within the next few days.
Hey, Sharon from Wyoming.
Wow.
How's your weather?
Yeah. You know, we've had a colder winter than normal here. Yep.
Hey, Cattywampus.
Yep. So one thing I just wanted to touch on real quick was for you folks out there that love to make salsa. Now, we love to make salsa here. That's one thing we just absolutely adore doing during spring, summertime when our tomatoes come in. And Sheila has finessed her salsa recipe over the years, and it's pretty doggone good. But you want to make your salsa out of aroma type tomato. And we have got 3 on our side now. I'm excited about this third one especially, but we got 3 Determinate type Roma tomatoes. And that is, we have Taki, we have Invincible, and we got a new one was just added Friday called Shelby. The Shelby is the highly rated, and one reason is it comes out of the cicada breeding program. And we know if a Determinate tomato comes out of the cicada breeding program, they do a wonderful job with a lot of bush, a lot of vine on their tomatoes to help protect it from sun scald. And this is one of them. It makes a lot of vine, and that's really good. So we're excited to have that Shelby. We got it on the side right now, but we got 3 of them on there, and all 3 are Determinate varieties. So if you people in the South want to make you some salsa, any one of those 3 right there would be a good one to pick. And how many do we normally plant? What, 15 or 20 foot rows, something like that? Something like that. And we have all the dead salsa. We put up a lot of salsa. We like to
give away a lot.
Give it away for Christmas presents and whatnots. Piney Woods Homestead, Howdy Farm, from your #1 fans on North Carolina. I'm going to put my glasses on.
Hey, Alton Moody said, when should our short day onions start bulbing?
Normally, when will the short day onions start bulbing out? Normally, for us, it's around the end of February. It's according to how much cold or how much warm weather we have, but I have noticed the last few years, it's normally the 3rd or 4th week in February is when that happens. And then you cut your fertilizer off as well as you know, and then let them bulb up. For about 30 days, you want to pull your fertilizer off. So if your onions normally come off around the middle of April, then your bulbing process normally takes place about 30 to 40 days before that. Our onions come off here around the 1st of April. So that puts us about the end of February. It's just according to what kind of weather we have, but it's normally within a week or 2 of that.
Somebody's planting their hostinators early.
Oh yeah, I fought my urge today. I was in the greenhouse cleaning out my greenhouse all day, getting it ready because it's that time to do that. I come so close to planting me a flat oven, but I knew it was a little bit too early. But I probably next week will sneak out and get me a flat oven planted. Hello from Plant City, Florida.
Strawberries.
Strawberry capital of the world. Yep. I used to go down there and do a lot of work in Plant City back in my younger days. Yep. I see my seed potato shipped to you. Do you think delayed long enough for the freezing weather? Yeah, I see my potatoes shipped. Do you think we delayed long enough? Yeah, I think you'll be okay. You know, we had several people comment. They watched the tracking and everything. And although that we shipped these potatoes to you, and it was in the low 30s, high 20s in there, I think it's still going to be okay because these are in a UPS truck or either in the post office. So it takes a pretty hard freeze for them to be exposed to that form of freeze. Yeah, somebody mentioned the Amish paste. Gina washed me. Yeah, and I just was thinking about it a while ago. Amish paste is an open pollinated variety that is short. We can't get no more of them this year, so we're going to be out of the Amish paste. But we replaced it with the Shelby. So we got 3 good varieties there.
Jennifer said, can you multi-sow peppers like you can with tomatoes?
Oh, in the same flat? Yeah, I don't see why not. Now, some of them's going to germinate a little quicker than others, but yeah, I do it all the time because I normally use a 162 for my peppers, and I don't need 162 of the same variety. So I normally split those up and plant, 10, 15 each kind.
Art said, ordered my hostinator and some other tomato seeds. Do you soak your seeds before the seeds start?
Art, no. So these hostinators are pelleted. So you don't need to soak those. Go ahead and just plant them. They'll be fine. I wouldn't soak any tomato or pepper seed. Hey, Donnie Glover. Good to see you, buddy. Hope y'all staying warm down there. Whispering Willow Farms. Hey, girl.
Guys.
Yep. Hey, y'all. Hope y'all doing well.
They had some snow.
Yep. Evening, y'all from Chicago. Woo! Windy City. Glad I'm not up there. Bad enough here. Yep. Yeah, we do have a lot of people. Louisiana we have a lot of people in Louisiana, a lot of customers here. Believe it or not, our #1 state for sales. I'm gonna let y'all guess at this. Tell me what you think our #1 state in sales are. Now, I'm gonna give you a hint. It's not Georgia. Hello from Vermont. Yep. I was in Burlington a few years ago. That's a great place up there. So what do y'all, hey, Tanya Matthews from Virginia, what do y'all think our biggest state in sales is?
Not Ohio.
Not Ohio. Not Indiana.
Not Arkansas.
Yep. Nope, not California. Although we do a good,
Indiana or Michigan.
yeah, we don't do, we do a good bit in California, but no, it's not. It's got to be Arkansas. No, it's not Arkansas. See, somebody's going to guess it here in a minute if they hadn't already guessed it. Yeah, somebody up there says Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Texas is our #1 state in sales. And I give that to the fact that Texas is so huge.
Large.
Yeah. Yeah. Our peppers just froze last week. We harvested a few. Yeah, well, good deal. Man, y'all made peppers. That's deep south. Y'all made peppers all the way to last week. That's pretty good. We had a commercial field of bell peppers here close to our house that they picked all the way up to the middle of January, which is amazing.
Click says, what is the best way to treat the wheel hoe handles and how often?
Yeah, I like to use linseed oil. You could use tung oil, but linseed oil is my favorite way to do it. And I normally do it about once a year. I do that in the wintertime when, it's cold and rainy outside and you don't have a lot else to do and you need to keep yourself busy. Now, one little trick I've learned over the years, if you got a little camping stove and maybe an old pot, be careful, but warm that linseed up a little bit and it'll apply and soak into wood a lot better. Yep. Adam's Greenhouse. Hey there. Good to see y'all. That's my old friends right there. Alabama, Florida. Nope. It was Texas.
Ryan Elliott, any tips and tricks in germinating or ginger spinach?
Ooh, spinach can be finicky sometimes.
No, I didn't have any problems with that in that root pouch.
Yeah, I know. Soft soils, one of the main things, make sure you don't have a crust over. I've seen this happen before where you plant it in soils and you got a hard rain that got compacted and it went push through there. So if you do have that, try to bust it up a little bit. Don't plant it too deep. But if you get those hard, crusty soils, it will keep them coming up. Other than that, just plant them in good soils there and keep them wet like you would carrots, and they should push right through. They like high organic soils. Question, I grew my cabbage this year a little bigger than a softball to get what I do to get them bigger. I'll tell you a little secret about cabbage. We grow more cabbage in this county right here than any other county this side of Mississippi. What people don't understand about cabbage is it takes a lot of fertilizer for cabbage. These guys around here will put 5 to 6 units of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet to grow cabbage. And we did that as well too. And we grew some big ones. They took a lot of nitrogen. We hit them with the 20-20-20. We hit them with a nitrogen source. Other than that, whatever I got out there, normally calcium nitrate, ammonia, sulfate, and keep them pumped up. The main thing is fertility.
Somebody asked about their potatoes in North Florida. I think it's already called by.
Yep. Garden
are
Girl.
the potatoes edible? Those seed potatoes?
Yeah, they're edible. I mean, they're a little expensive to eat, and they're certified to variety, so they're going to cost more than what potatoes do in the grocery store. I guess you could eat them in a pinch, but yeah, I would plant them.
What type of potatoes do you suggest for beginners to grow in Michigan?
Oh, Michigan. I tell you what, my favorite potato, I'd go with probably Yukon Gold. Yep.
Mm.
Now, red Norland that we carry, the reason we carry the red Norland is because it's very heat tolerant. But in Michigan, you don't need anything that's heat tolerant, so I'd go with Yukon Gold.
Hey, Lily Farm. My strawberry, are you talking about the strawberry leaves? Mine are turning red too.
My strawberries are turning red and yellow. Are they dormant or dying? You know what? Check your water. I'm assuming they get plenty of water. Other than that, it could be a fertility problem. I know in corn, when we see some leaves turning off color in corn, a lot of times it's a fertility problem. So it could very well be. It could be a phosphorus or potassium problem. So maybe you want to hit them with some 20-20-20. Whoever homestead, have you grown the best micro beet? Oh, I have. I have grown the beet microgreens, and I like them. I do it just like anywhere else. You don't soak the beet microgreens like you would a pea or sunflower, but just sow them in there, cover them up, keep them wet. Beets are delicious. That's one thing that I've loved this year is we started eating beet leaves out of the garden.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
They're good.
Yeah.
Cattywampus they had almost perfect germination on all their cool weather stuff.
Yep.
Except the Brussels sprouts. Any ideas?
No, I really don't. Brussels sprouts are just, I mean, they're finicky.
Okay.
Hawkeye, Texas, I guess, 549. Are hostinator plants determinate or non-determinate? They are determinate. They are a determinate variety. This is normally in the South, normally speaking. Now, if you were to draw a line at the Tennessee-Georgia line all the way across the United States, now this didn't take into consideration the West Coast or California because the zone kind of swoops up there. But past Texas, if you was to draw a line all the way, we normally do better with determinate varieties south of that. And normally north of that, you'll find that most people prefer indeterminate varieties. And the reason is those determinates do a little bit better with the heat. And those indeterminates burn up on us anyway. So we don't get to grow them all year long, all summer long anyway. But if you'll talk to people, they pretty much that line there of what they prefer. Indeterminates above Tennessee, Georgia line, determinates southern that, south of that. And, you know, we got, I believe the Amish paste that we had was an indeterminate, if I'm not mistaken, was an indeterminate Roma. But to have these three varieties that are determinate, Romas, Invincible, Taki, and Shelby, man. If you're in the South and you want to grow sausage, you got to grow these determinate Romas. I think you'd be well pleased with that. Monty Odom. Hey guys, I just got my potatoes from y'all on Tuesday. I'm in Panama City, Bay County. Should I shit them? Should I shit them? Shit. They knew I was going to mess up on that. Should I shit them and then cut them up? Or just cut them and go with it. You can do it either way. You can lay them out and let them sprout or shit. Shit, Sheila.
That's not what you said.
I know it's what I meant, though. That's the main thing. That's what I meant. You can lay them out in a kind of a warm area there, and they'll sprout out. Or you can go ahead and plant them. I've planted them before without them sprouting.
When is the best time to start potatoes in Maryland?
Normally 2 weeks before your last frost. So we get our last frost normally around the middle of March, and we like to plant our potatoes around the end of February. So 2 to 3 weeks before your last frost. Chicken River said, well, chit. That is chit.
Okay. So,
Roy, Papa Roy.
I wish you folks had an assortment of seed potatoes for those of us with small container.
Yeah, we may do that next year.
German butterball.
Yeah, German butterball is a good one for containers, but I understand what you're talking about the assortment. We've done that in the past, and we may do it again in the future. It's so labor intensive to bring them in here and repack it. We can't get the people we get the potatoes from to do that, and it's so labor intensive to do that. It's just hard on us. But we will make strides next year to do that. But if you're planting potatoes in containers, you want to use that indeterminate German butterball would be your one to use there. That way you can just add to it. Use a silage tarp for the first time. When do I pull it off until, and do I put it back on for a time period before planting North Mississippi? Here, good question, Brandon. You can do it either way. I tell you the way I do it a lot of times is I will pull it off when I have time, and I will till and get it prepared just like I want it. Then I'll put the tarp back on there. That way, if I get in a tight time, when it's time to plant, I just rip the tarp off and I'm ready. But you can do it either way. There's all kind of ways you can use that tarp. And if you do till it and put the tarp back on there, and you want to pull the tarp back off for a couple of days, let those weeds sprout, and put it back on there. It'll give you a head start on some of your weed control. All right. Just got my potatoes. When is the best time to plant in South Georgia? Karen. Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So Karen, if you got any age on you like I do, you know, all the old timers said February the 14th around here, and they still to this day, February 14th, everybody thinks that's the time to plant potatoes. I tell you this, over the years, I've always planted mine toward the end of February, and they have always done better. So I will plant mine the last week of February.
Can I grow Yukon Gold in a root pouch?
You can, but I would prefer to grow one of those indeterminate varieties. All right, B says, what's good to get clay soil ready for potatoes? Any type of good organic matter. Compost, if you can get it. If not, we got a pelletized chicken manure, which works well. If you got heavy clay soils, I might would put a little gypsum in there too to help the consistency of the soil. But gypsum, if it's real heavy, compost, or some pelletized chicken litter, something like that. Hey, Jeff, yeah, you're going to try a giant pumpkin again. Wow. Oh, I have tried giant pumpkins and tried them. I've never been successful with them. I get them pretty good size, and they just something happens. I don't know if I will or not. I'd like to conquer that one time in my life.
Just say you did it.
Just to say I did it. I mean, I can grow pumpkins.
Have to move away from here.
I can grow them well in the springtime, like a blue bayou or anything. I grow. It's that summertime powdery mildew squash bug thing that gets me every year. Wayne, good to see you, buddy. Do most of the seed potatoes come from a great state? Yes, they do. Great state of Minnesota. Ours come from there, but you'll notice Minnesota, Idaho, all up in that area out there. Even Maine. Maine grows a good many seed potatoes. Any of that area does a good job with them. And we have to get them up there because we can't grow seed potatoes here in the South. Ham's Homestead. Hey, this is Mary. Hey, Mary. We are growing Hoss red snapper for the first time this year. Any pointers? To keep them fertilized well. You're going to find that red snapper is a great disease-resistant variety. They tell me that the red snapper is comparable to the new Hostinator. They say that the trials they've done in the last few years, that is the two leading varieties right now, so you should be in good shape there. I think you're making a wise choice. Keep them fertilized well. Put drip system on them so that you don't have any blossom end rot. Keep calcium on them. You should be good to go. Cattywampus.
Mama House, when will you do a kohlrabi recipe? Need to do that soon. We don't have any right now. Do you have some?
I don't think so.
We'll have to work on that.
Yeah. We love kohlrabi. Huh. Deep South says, are we going to have a challenge this year about pumpkins tank? I don't know, Deep South. We're going to have that discussion. Nobody did well. We did a challenge. Nobody did well this last year on the pumpkins. We're going to have to throw that around a little bit and see what we're going to do. We may be better off to do something, a different kind of challenge than a giant pumpkin. Maybe like the biggest tomato. I think that would be a good one, the biggest tomato. Yeah. I think Deep South and I could compete on the biggest tomato.
Mm-hmm.
Jenny says, I have flower seeds planted in liners under a makeshift plastic greenhouse. When can I transplant in North Florida? Do I need grow lights too?
Wow.
Probably not under a makeshift plastic greenhouse. I'm assuming it is outside where direct sunlight can hit it. North Florida, I'm going to say probably the earliest you'd get by would be the 1st of March. Doug, what's up, buddy? My raised beds are 4x4 each. Can corn be planted in one of those beds? Possibly, Doug, but you know what? I think you'd be better off to grow something else in there. Corn just doesn't do well in those small, narrow rows like that. It's a pollination issue.
It needs a square.
You need a square. And for the effort you got to put into it, I think you'd probably be better off to plant something like squash, cucumbers, or other things than the corn. I know there's some people out there that do corn in containers, but I think for the effort you got to put in there, I think better served to use it for something else.
Donnie just had a
Yeah,
good idea.
Donnie, that is a great idea. The Hostnator Tomato Challenge. Yep. And if you watched our show, we really talked about it. The Hostnator is known for its huge size. And those guys tell me if you prune the suckers off of a little ways on the Hostnator, that those things will get massive. So maybe what we should do is the biggest tomato challenge.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good idea.
James, pros and cons of using Preem in the vegetable garden. Preem, if I'm not mistaken, is surfland. And as long as your plants are up and they're up and they get somewhat established and the ground is fairly compacted around it, I think it'll be fine. I don't think you'll have any problem with using Preem in the vegetable garden. It breaks down pretty easily. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Treflan is probably the most widely used ever vegetable pre-emergent herbicide, and Treflan and Surflan are first cousins. So yeah, I think it'd be fine. You just want to make sure you don't put it on anything that has just emerged. Make sure that it's got a little bit of root system on it, and make sure that the ground has not got cracks in there so that Surflan can get down in there. All right.
Hey, Angie.
Angel's arrived.
Good deal.
Hello, I'm new here, just got my house seeds ordered. Welcome to the family. Put them specs on there where I can see. Yep. Cynthia, I'm going to try some mini blue corn, baby corn, and your corn. I got that a while back in a BOGO offer. Yep. And I'll tell you what, if you're looking for something that's a little out of the ordinary there, we love the Jimmy Red.
Mm-hmm.
And the blue corn as well is good as well. It's a little harder to grow than the Jimmy Red. The Jimmy Red's easy to grow. Man, it's got just a unique, great flavor to it. Yep, tomato challenge. I think we own something here.
That's it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Prep for eternity. Yep.
Delicate.
Yeah. Hey Tracy, how is the delicate squash versus the sweet dumpling squash?
Yeah.
Man, that's a good one.
We did that this year.
We did. I would say the sweet dumpling. What would you say?
There was one that didn't hold up as well as the other.
Yeah.
What do I have down at the?
I think the delicata was sweeter.
You think the delicata is sweeter? Both of them are sweet. You can't go wrong with either one of them.
They were both good.
And of all the winter squash, of all of them out there, the delicata and sweet dumpling are my two favorites. Mm-hmm. And we love winter squash. Is there a part?
Partheno carpet.
Well, part is in the industry is the That's how you say it. If you're talking to somebody, they call them parths. They don't say the whole word.
Oh,
They say
okay.
Is
parth.
that because they can't say it?
It's not because they can't say it. It's just what it's just what they say. Parth. So when you're talking with people, you say parth. Is there a parth yellow crookneck squash available? Not to my knowledge. There's not. So I actually emailed a couple of the breeders the other day and asked them that particular question because I would like to have got one for you people out there that have those pollinator issues. And they have been a couple. There's one that they're looking at now that's overseas, that's growing over in England. They're testing out, but there's not one on the U.S. market that I'm aware of. And I asked two of the leading breeders about that question because I think that would be a great one to have. Hey, Lacey, Greg, will you be at the Okie Homestead in March? You know what? We're going to wait and see what the junk does. If the junk clears up somewhat and we can travel, now we're going to have to fly out there if we go. And if it clears up, we're going to try to go. But a lot of our people will be out there. Wes and Angie from Naked Hog will be out there. And I know Jason and Brooke is going. So if it's where we can, the main thing is the junk. If the junk clears up, then we're going to try to make it. If the junk raises its ugly head again, probably not. But we're looking forward to it if we can go. Garden pot. Greg, have you gone conference for garden fertilizer? No, I have not. But I've looked it up and I've talked to a couple of people about that. That's interesting. So if any of y'all have done that, kind of let us know what your thoughts are. That's a new one to me, but I'm a little bit familiar with it.
Ham's Homestead.
Did we answer that one? Hey, Roger, I'll be growing heavy hitter okra in a 3x30 raised bed. What can I companion plant along with it? Sheila, I'm going to let you answer that one.
Put me on the spot here. I didn't plant anything in my okra when I had it.
No, but what could you? You could plant flowers.
Yeah.
You could plant any kind of flowers and it would do good. I tell you what would do really good is some of the dwarf
zinnias. The dwarf zinnias would do really well.
Yeah. Yeah, it would do really good. Is there corn that's a little more drought resistant? Frank, I'm going to tell you my thoughts on this right here. The heirloom corns, to me, seem to be more drought resistant than the newer hybrid varieties. Now, I'm a big believer, and I love a lot of these hybrid varieties because they've come such a long way on flavor and things like that. But if you're looking for something, if you have a tendency to have dry weather on your corn, you're not able to irrigate it like you should, or you're new to growing corn, I would definitely suggest going with the heirloom variety. Heirlooms to me are easier to grow than the hybrids are. If you're talking about field corn, my all-time favorite is Hickory King. All right. Calendula plants are still blooming. Hey, Jenny.
Hey, how many petals needed? I think last time you want like to a cup of petals, you want to use a cup of oil. And you're not just going to use the petals, you're going to use the green part of the stalk too.
Hey, Lori, I see tomatoes in the 162 trays in previous years up potted after 4 weeks. This year, I want to start plants as late as possible so do not have to pot up. How long can you plant and stay in the cells? It's a good question there. You know, Sheila's mother does the same thing. She up pots from the 162s, and every year I'm telling her, I said, you shouldn't do that. You're exactly right. You want to go directly from that 162 into the ground. There's no use in potting them up from that right there. On tomato plants, normally you could figure if you're real good at growing transplants, you can grow 42 days. I'd say anywhere from 42 days to 55 days, somewhere there is what you should expect to put them, to have them grow out in that 162. And that's from the time of planting. So normally I figure on 6 weeks. 6 weeks, put them in the ground. And I never, if I have some that get away from me that I say I've already planted my garden and I grew some for somebody else and they're not ready for them and they start getting root bound on me, I will up pot them, but I never up pot them for my garden. They seem to thrive so much better directly out of that 162. Cody, tips for knowing when carrots are ready to harvest. How about that, Mama Hoss? You carrot
I
expert.
usually pull me a few here and there. I eat them along from when they're really small to they're really big. Now I did harvest all mine this week, and I had a few that had split. You don't want them to go that far.
How long was that? Do you remember?
I planted them in August.
Foster mom, first time here, good vibes. Heck yeah, glad to have you. Heard about you from Whispering Willow Farms. Well,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, Whispering Willows are good friends of ours. Absolutely wonderful people. Cynthia, what herb or companion plant with your tomatoes, or do you do companion plants with your tomatoes? I normally do not do companion plants with mine, and you don't either, do you? And we believe in good rotation. I never plant my tomatoes black in the same spot that I grew them last year. But we don't necessarily do companion plants.
No,
with
they
our
get
tomatoes.
so big and bushy.
Yep. Now, one little lesson that we did learn a few years ago is we plant our rows pretty far apart. That way we can get down through there and harvest them. 3 foot's a little tight for us. We like about 4 foot rows on our tomatoes. Hey, Arch, can okra take 100-degree heat, or within plants need shade cloth? No, you don't need no shade cloth, no okra. It loves the heat. Okra and roselle, hibiscus, and cotton are all in the same family, the mallow family. They love heat. Now, they'll wilt down. You can't hardly kill an okra plant once it gets established. They'll wilt, and they might quit producing, but you can water them, and they'll perk right back up and continue to produce. In those 100-degree days, if you got them on drip irrigation so you can continue to water them, man, them things will pump out some okra. They love that warm weather, love the hot weather. Hey, Edna, what really works to keep white moss butterflies from laying eggs on cabbages and brassica leaves? I have heard that eggshells on the surface of the soil stops them. I can't see where the eggshells would do much there. You need to stay under a good program, and it's as simple as using BT, spinosad, and neem oil. Stay on a real tight rotation with those. If you see the eggs, you can pick those eggs off, squish them, or spray some horticulture oil on those eggs, and it'll smother them, suffocate them, which is what we like to do. But if you're spraying specifically just for eggs, I'd recommend horticulture oil. You got to get real good coverage. When they start hatching, that's when you want to move to your spinosad, you want to move to your neem oil, and then after that, you want to work your BT in there. Hey, Monty, I haven't looked on your site in a few weeks. Did you guys ever get any white acre peas, or is there a shortage this year on seed? I'm not sure about white acre, if we got any of those. No, we did have some of them in, but I will tell you guys this on the pea seed. I was going to mention this a little later, but I'll go ahead and say it. We got an email earlier this week. We had pre-booked all of our pea seeds for this coming year months ago. And we got an email saying that they was going to prorate and cut our order dramatically down to something around 20%. So we're not going to be able to get near as many pea seeds as we originally thought to get in there. And it's kind of a bummer, but we kind of expected that to happen. We got a backup plan that we're trying to work on that maybe will come through, but I don't have a lot of faith in it. There's pretty much been a crop shortage on pea seeds for a while now, and it's starting to catch up with us, and I just think they're going to be really short this time.
Make sure they're signed up for the stock.
Yeah, sign up for the restock notification, and also make sure that you signed up for our email newsletter, because just the day we get them in, what we're going to do is shoot out a email newsletter telling you what we got in, so that you get them. We got a lot of people waiting on peas out there. All right. How about it, dude? Just got my Germinate Map this week. How long should it run after the plants have popped through the soil? For germination purposes, you don't need to let it run anymore after they pop through the soil. But you can use it to help supplement your heat a little bit. I do this in the greenhouse all the time. I'll leave them on there all the way. I'll leave my heat mats on all the way till probably March, till it starts warming up. And that heat especially on those cold nights or those cold days. That heat radiating up will help a little bit for that. I run my heat mats a lot. Hey B, how can I keep flea larvae out of the greens patch? They can be hard sometimes. I think spinosad, if I'm not garden insect spray, I think it's labeled for flea beetles. Of course, we have one called Bug Buster 2, and that'll get them. That's not an organic, it's a synthetic, but it'll work on them. But if you want to go organic, I would probably go with spinosad.
We have that white acre.
I thought the white acre was in, we do have the white acre in stock. I thought we did, but we don't have many of the others in stock, but we are getting some in. Weber Homestead, y'all do any fishing there anywhere?
I wish.
We had a mess of speckled perch last night. Our neighbor went to a pond and caught a bunch of speckled perch, and we cleaned them and had those last night. We've had a lot of water here, but we'll start our fishing back probably in March, as soon as the weather clears up a little bit.
I don't know about this one, but you might know.
The garden guru question, can I plant a peach tree and a blueberry tree next to each other? Well, I don't see why in the world not. And I'm not a peach tree or blueberry tree expert.
But the blueberry needs a more acidic soil.
It does, than the peach tree. It does. The blueberries, and we had them on our home place here when we bought it, need a low pH, somewhere around 5, 5.5. So that may be a little bit of a problem. I'm glad you brought that up. Peach trees normally around 6.0 to 6.5.
That's a good question.
Hey, out Moody, how do you inject on crops that need different rates or more fertilizer? That is a good question. So what I do there is I'll use what we call the drip tape starter with the valve. So I can turn off individual rows. So if I got my drip tape running up here and I got my lateral tape coming off from that, you know, when you buy our kit, you get the row starts, and those row starts don't have a valve on there. But if you think you're going to have this problem here, we sell those row starts with a valve, and you simply can turn that valve off and not fertilize the row. But keep in mind, when you do lay off your garden, you pretty much want to plant each variety on each row. That way, when you turn off, you're just going to turn off that row. That's a good way to do it.
Look who's here.
Hey, 2
Howdy.
quacks and 5 clucks farm. Howdy, buddy. It's our TikTok friend. Y'all go check him out over there on TikTok. He's got a huge following over there. My Rural Life. Any updates on availability of different fertilizers, the fortified organic? As you well know, if you've watched any news lately or watched anything, fertilizer is tight. Prices are going way up. We seen this happening back there in the fall. We got rumors of it back then. We went ahead and bought our fertilizers back then. In fact, we're getting a load of it in tomorrow. But we've pretty much got our fertilizers locked in for the year. We don't see a shortage with organic fertilizers. However, the trucking shortage that we have, or trucks is hard to get. It's hard to move it around within the country. There don't seem to be a shortage there. Of course, prices have raised a little bit like everything else, but synthetic fertilizers are going to be tight this year, and they're going to be expensive. I can tell you that. The guard, do y'all sell fish emulsion? Fish emulsion.
Yeah.
We do. We sell one now. We had another one that we brought in here that we're going to discontinue it. It was okay, but we had some problems with the pH
fish
on it.
and guano.
We have fish and guano, which I highly recommend. That's the best product we've used in a long, long time. And we brought it back in. And we like it. And that's the one we're going to stick with this year. And it's fish and bat guano, basically. It's a combination.
There's that word again.
Yep. Hey, Ben, can I plant 2 different varieties of part cucumbers at the same time, or will I have cross-pollination issues? I've got a pickling variety and an Asian cuve, both parts. I don't think you're going to have a problem there. Yeah, I don't think it'd be a problem. Shouldn't have any problem with it when cross-pollinating. Casey, without overwintering, what's the time zones to grow onions? Zone 8. Yeah. Somebody was on today, the group, Georgia Backyard Garden, was talking about this, and I went back and forth on that thread a little bit. It's going to be hard for you to grow onions any size if you don't overwinter them. If you want to grow those big onions, you're going to need to overwinter them. If you just want to grow a smaller onion, just kind of eat like we do spring onions and things like that, or maybe let them bulb up a little bit, size maybe a, I don't know, a golf ball, something like that. You can plant them now, and they'll do that. I mean, you're gonna be a little late gathering them, but they'll grow a small bulb. But if you want to grow these big bulbs, you got to overwinter them. Maize. Last year I planted hibiscus, but the frost got them before they flowered. Can they be started early in trays? Thanks. What's that, Mama?
Yes, they can. And I'm going to start mine earlier than I did last year because we ran into the same problem. Ours flowered, but they didn't actually mature, and the frost got them.
Yeah, that's the first time we'd had that problem. The year before that, we made a real good crop. Last year, we got them started too early. We learned a lesson there. So you do want to start them in trays and get them out there as soon as possible. They love that heat, and they take a long time to mature. All right, a Bama gardener question: what ate the tops of my carrots I had under net and no footprints, but something ate them? Do you know what? My guess would be Mr. Bugs Bunny might have got a hold to them. That's about the best guess I got on that one. Is planting F1 seeds good? Yes, absolutely they are. F1 is there's nothing wrong with F1 seeds.
What is F1 seeds?
F1 seeds would be a hybrid with it.
Yeah.
Yep. Any recommendation on soil test kits and how to do it? Boy, that's a good one there. We just shot a video today on that one there. So, James, yeah, there is some soil kits out there that you can buy online or from the big box stores, some others, so you can test your pH. I prefer using one of the universities here in Georgia. We got UGA, as I will mention. UGA won the national championship this
Yes,
year.
I do.
But most of your states have an agricultural college in that state that does soil samples, and I prefer to use them because you can get a more comprehensive result through them. You can get your pH tested, you can get your potassium, your phosphorus, you can get a lot of your micronutrients tested in there. You can get your calcium, zinc, magnesium. You can get all those tested from that. And it's like $6 or $8. It ain't much. You normally have to go through your county agent, but that's the way we do it. I pulled one today, matter of fact, and I'm gonna send it off and get it tested. $6 or $8, somewhere like that. So it's not bad at all. All right, Mopar man, we are having a hard time with our lettuce not growing very well. Plenty of fertilizer and water. Any ideas for help? You know what? Just got off that subject. I bet you probably need to test your soil. Make sure that your pH is in line there. Well, you know, what happens a lot of times if you do everything right and you put all the fertilizer out there right and you water right and that plant doesn't respond, more likely you got a pH problem or you got a nutrient overload in there. So I would recommend you doing a soil sample. Make sure you get everything in line. The Garden Guru, what are some good tips on growing popcorn? It's been years since I grew popcorn. I would grow it just like I would field corn, same way. Keep it fertilized good. I put it on drip system where I could keep it from stressing out, give it plenty of fertilizer. McMillan family. Hoss, what makes your pepper plants to sprout and then the leaves fall off? I've had that happen sometimes. I think it's probably environmental stress would be my guess. Too hot, too dry, maybe a temperature shift too much. Cool nights sometimes will do that. Linda says, what's your sweetest cherry tomato? Love them sweet. Sweethearts. If you want a red one, we have one called Sweethearts that I would recommend. Now, we got a lot of them coming on in the next.
There's a sweetie cherry, isn't it? That's pretty sweet.
Sweetie cherry?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Sweethearts is one I've grown that I like. Yeah, any of those right there, Sweetie cherry or the Sweethearts, I'd say the Sweethearts would be my personal favorite one.
Scott said, what's the best way to wash the water wicking mat?
You can wash it any way you want to. The thing about our mat is it's completely sealed. It's not sealed around the edge like some of them are. So you can wash it with a mild solution or dishwasher detergent. If you want to, you can throw just a little bit of bleach in there, but a good dishwashing detergent with just a tad bit of bleach, I think, would do the trick. Sarah says, I grew roselle last year and it was absolutely huge. a hurricane blew it and blew it over right before the harvest. Would you recommend putting a T-post behind it? What's that, Mama?
Yeah, some of mine blew over too with some strong winds. I think some type of support
Yeah.
would help.
I tell you what we may do this year. We may put up something like the high tensile wire like I do our muscadines on and kind of support it that way. But you're right, they do get huge. Our big old dog got in the middle of ours and broke some of ours off.
Yeah.
So they do get
in the wind.
they do get a little fragile in there sometimes. Hey, Sarah, any suggestions to limit damage from root knot nematode in the garden?
Cover crops. No?
Rotation and cover crops. The biggest thing is rotation, and then you can use our brown Kodiak mustard, incorporate it into the soil, and it works as a biofumigant. Monterey makes this product that's actually an organic nematicide that will wipe out bad nematodes. The only problem with it is, and the reason we hadn't took it on our line, is it wipes out all nematodes. So if you do use that product, you have to reintroduce the good nematodes, and I thought that was more than most people wanted to get into. So rotation, and use cover crops, particularly mustards. Monkey Mama, we have leggy cauliflower plants. Should we plant the leggy part to help stabilize the plant? Thanks. I'd start me some more. Anytime I've ever tried to salvage any leggy plants, it didn't work out well for me. Just start over and move along. Yep, the Garden Guru House does sell heat mats. Yes, we do. And we're right proud of ours. Now, we don't have the cheaper ones out there. If you're looking for a cheap heat mat, it's not ours. Ours is a higher quality heat mat, and you're going to pay a little bit more for it. Hey, Linda, I live close to you. Do you ever have tours or open to the public? Not necessarily open to the public. If you want to place an order, you're more welcome to come out and pick it up. But most of our stuff is pulled on bin location. And if you place the order, we'll have it set up for you at the front. Now, we have talked about at some point we may do something. Let's have a little event. We've just talked. We bounced that idea around somewhat, so we may do that in the
An open house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm about all through my tea.
If you don't have enough room for rotation, what can you do for your soil each summer?
Yeah, hey Arch, that happens a lot of times. The reality is we don't live in a perfect world. We don't all have everything you got to have. You may be limited on your own. The biggest thing I can tell you is get as much good compost as you can and incorporate it into your soil. That will make up for some type of rotation deficiency that you may have. Sheila runs in this sometimes in her raised beds. You can only rotate stuff just so much. But that good compost, organic matter,
that organic fertilizer,
that'll help you get by that. Hey Randy, when starting seeds indoors, do you recommend grow lights or heat mats? Both. Yep, you want those heat mats to get those seeds germinated, coming up, and just as soon as you see green, you need to get them underneath those grow lights. Now you don't need grow lights for them to germinate, but just as soon as they pop through, you got to get them underneath those grow lights, or you're going to be lost them to Mr. Leggy. Mr. Leggy get a hold to them, and you have to start over. Hey Nate, would you rather grow vapes, collards, or Georgia Southern? That's a good one. That's a tough one there. I would probably have to go with vapes.
Is that what you have in the garden?
Nope.
No?
I don't think I have vapes in the garden. I've grown vapes before. We just got a shipment of vapes in the other day, matter of fact. But yeah, probably have to go with vapes over the Georgia Southern. The Garden Guru, I don't know why, but I am no good at making compost. It's so frustrating. Yes, so there's been so much written out there, and so many people talk about compost, and it's a science and it's an art to make good compost. You got to have
the right carbon, the right green, the right brown,
and the right aeration, the right moisture, the right temperature. You got to have. I believe the recipe is 2/3 carbon to 1/3 nitrogen for it to work off properly. So what I recommend people doing is finding you a good place that makes compost commercially and get it from them. I think you'll be better off. That's what we do. I compost a little bit, but it never turns out to be the same quality of what I can buy. Stephanie, is wood ash good for the garden and how should it be used? Yeah, you just kind of spread it out there. Our ancestors used it a lot. It's a good source of potassium. So we do it all the time. We got a fire pit down at the house. We had a big fire last night, had some
I
company
thought
over
about
for the
that
fish fry.
this morning. I saw that dash.
I've been doing that. I've been taking it, putting it in your raised beds.
You have?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. So kind of spread it out there. I just would spread it out lightly all over my garden working in. Running out of room in my seed trays. Should I grow yellow pear or sun sugar?
Sun sugar.
Hookset TV. That's a tough one there. Yeah, sun
sugar.
sugar. Yellow pear is awesome. It is awesome. But if you put it up against sun sugar, that's a tough battle right there. And I've grown more yellow pear than I have sun sugar, but I hate to say sun sugar.
Yeah.
How about them?
How about them dogs? Yeah, hands in the dirt. They come right. We finally got one. We better enjoy it as much as we can. Next year may be a different story.
So there's that.
Hey, Arch, what about mixing rabbit droppings and pine bedding pellets in the garden soil? The rabbit droppings wouldn't be a problem. I think that's a good idea. Pine bedding pellets would probably tie up a little bit of your nitrogen in the decomposing process. I would put my pine bedding in a compost pile with maybe some of those rabbit droppings or maybe another nitrogen source and let it kind of work its way through a little bit. Adam's Greenhouse said sun sugar as well. Yeah,
That's a favorite.
yeah, that's a fair. He's a pretty experienced gardener as well, so I think he agrees with us on that. Terry, last year I had a real problem with cabbage maggots. Any suggestions so I don't get them this year? Thank you from snowy, cold Maine. Cabbage maggots. Rotation, try to use cover crops more often, and spinosad may work on cabbage maggots. I'm not sure. But I would make sure I got good rotation and maybe plant cover crops to try to break the cycle, the insect cycle up a little bit. I'll be grubbing. Is it too late to start onions in zone 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Now I think you could still plant some bunching onions or maybe some multiplying onions that we may have available in a couple of 3 weeks. But as far as big Vide type bubbling onions, yeah, I think it's too late. It's going to get too hot on you too quick. John says, any advice on converting a pig lot into a garden space? I think you could do the right thing, John. You're going to probably got plenty of fertility in that pig area there. I would take a soil sample because I can bet you your your potassium is probably going to be very, very high in that pig lot. So I would take a soil sample just to check that and see. What deters rodents? A good cat. Keeping your, I tell you the problem, we've had a little bit of that issue. Good housekeeping. So make sure they don't have anywhere to nest close by. If you got a garden shed there, make sure that you kind of keep it clean.
Feed is put
Chicken
up.
feed's put up, stuff like that. The best thing is good housekeeping. If you got anything that's grown up around there, as far as grown up around an old car or anything like that, clean it up so they don't have anywhere to nest. Clean up their habitat would be the best advice I could give you there. Hey, Dave, if a fella could only get one of these, what would you suggest? The oscillating hoe or the sweeps for the wheel hoe? I break it down a little different from that. I break it down to soil type. So if you've got very loamy, sandy type soils, I like the sweeps. If you've got a harder type soil, it's got some clay in there, I like the oscillating better. So that's the way I break it down, is what kind of soil type you have. The oscillating hoes are the toughest implement we have for the wheel hoe. The sweeps are the most versatile. So break it down to what kind of soil type you have.
Root veggies.
Going to the dogs too. Key to getting root veggies to grow and form. Most of the time, people don't fertilize them enough. I mean, it's cold weather when you got root vegetables out there and you don't plant enough. And mostly root vegetables take a lot of phosphorus and potassium as well. So I would say fertility would be a good thing there. Do y'all sell a soil test on your site? I couldn't find one. No, we don't. There is a company that I contacted a few months ago about that. They never did contact me back. Excuse me. I don't know where you're located at, but probably I would check with your extension office or check with if you got an agricultural university in your state. I would check with them. If not, there are some private labs out there that you can. There's some private labs out there that you can check on. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Do you chip your potatoes?
Good afternoon. Does Greg chip his potatoes prior to planting them, or just cut and heel them over? I've most of the time I just cut and heel them over. Now I will lay them out a few days ahead of time. If they sprout, fine. If they don't, it's not a big thing for me.
Oh my gosh. Philippines?
Hello.
Philippines. Hey,
That's awesome.
hope it's warmer there than it is here. Cool. Hello from Oklahoma 7A. What does red dirt need? My well water has a lot of lime and it's bad for my plants. Organic matter, gypsum, and organic matter, and organic matter, and organic matter is your best advice there. You probably, if you got a lot of lime, you probably got a high pH, so you want to use things like ammonium sulfate, any kind of fertilizer that's got sulfur there to help lower your pH, and just add cover crops any way possible that you can get organic matter in there. Do it. That's the best solution for red dirt. I'll be grubbing. What flowers do you grow from seed and ground versus starting in a tray? That's a good one right there.
Yeah. I've grown zinnias and sunflowers both ways. It just depends on the time of the year and how fast I need them.
You know, we used to didn't think you could direct seed sunflowers or zinnias. I mean, we didn't think you could grow them in pots, but we've had a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We've had good results with growing them in the trays. I will sometimes, if I'm growing a big plot and I'm in a hurry, I will go out there and direct seed. If I direct seed, I use one of the cheaper mixes. If I'm doing those Penaries, I normally put those in trays because those seeds are expensive. Same thing with the Pro Cuts. Those seeds are expensive. And I'll normally transplant that. If I'm doing a big sunflower plot, I'll just direct seed it. Something like black oil sunflower. So basically go on the cost of the seed. If it's a very expensive seed, I would put it to trays, transplant it. If it's a cheaper seed, I direct seed it.
I found that the transplants don't get as big. Like if you transplant them.
Hands in the dirt, best determinate to rate a variety. This year, I would have to say it's going to be the Hostinator and the Red Snapper. If you want a slicer, that's the two I would recommend for you. Are they self-pollinating? Yes. Or do I need to plant near the bees? I'm new at gardening, going very slowly, planting veggies each year. I'm in New York. You should be fine. Tomatoes are self-pollinating. You should be fine there. Yep. Hi, from New York City 7B. How do I know when to start seeds? Different websites say to start seeds different weeks. Our ground is still frozen. Yeah, so tomatoes, for granted, you want to start those probably about 4 weeks before you go on internet. And the Almanac has a very good site which shows when your last frost date is. But if you know your zone, go check when your last frost is. Back up from that about 4 to 5 weeks, and you can start your seeds. That's a good way to
Indoors
or the greenhouse.
The greenhouse.
Yep. All right. What do you think about the program by NRCS through USDA for high tones? I think it's a great program there. You know, that was written into the Farm Bill a few years ago. They was kind of throwing the bone to smaller gardeners and growers, and that's a good program there. Yep, absolutely good program. A lot of people around here's gotten them. So, you know, somebody asked earlier today, what's the difference in the high tone and the greenhouse? Normally speaking, the high tone is not heated and a greenhouse is heated. But yeah, those high tones work great. I've enjoyed mine over the years. All right, well, we're about ready to wrap her up. So we got one more here. Varieties for good cherry tomato baskets and what size pods to transplant them into.
The Little Birdie series.
Little Birdie series. Man, we grew those last year. We got Yellow Canary, we got Rosy Finch, and we got
Red Robin.
Red Robin. Yep. We got those through there. They're absolutely wonderful container tomatoes. They're actually dwarf determinants. So they don't get very big at all. They just load up. And what size pots did we use? We use 1 gallon pots on some of
I
them.
use 1 gallon. I use some bigger pot, all different sizes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how big a gardener you are. You need to be growing some of those in pots. You'll just be amazed at this little birdie series. All right. Well, thank y'all very much. We're going to wrap it up. It's good to see y'all, everybody. And we got to talk to some folks we hadn't seen in a while.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Yep. All right. We'll check you later. Now get dirty.